Fixing something. Hold on. I came to hang out. Yeah. I came to hang out. Hi. I did it. Man, you're missing a good event tonight, bro.
While we're being real.
You're missing a good event tonight.
Alright, I just want to have this set up. I'll be back. Let's we're going to here. And we go to here. And we go like that. Hey, if anybody would like to do me a solid, get in here and let me test the bot, please. If anybody would like to do me a solid, get in here, play a game, and let me test the bot. That would be helpful. Thank you. Hiya, Sora. You have to sign up for the event from 7 to 9 o'clock. If you play at least one set in the event, then you get put into a giveaway for the next skin. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
should be in then. What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Bearded Brawls queue. Yeah, we're actually streaming a queue here, so no tournament to be found. It's just going to be some casual, laid-back matchmaking. I'm joined here by Althazar, and we're excited to get into things. How are you feeling?
Doing good, honestly. I'm feeling all right. Pretty excited. This is the first kind of like event of this sword that I do and I cast on. I feel like it's definitely a great addition to the game and to the community in itself. And I'm pretty hopeful that we're gonna have some amazing matches to watch tonight.
Absolutely. You know, I just came back from a extended leave from the game, and seeing that chakrams are now no longer viable, I'm definitely interested to see what we're going to see dominate the queue, right? Because before, of course, chakram being the best of the best, but now it's barely even viable. So I'm interested to see. I know blasters is a big one, and actually in this first game we're getting into, I believe we're going to be seeing quite a bit of blasters. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I know that blasters, they got a huge change. It's been a few years now that we haven't seen blasters like being used this much, especially with like several characters. It's not just like the niche peak of like maybe a Lucian every now and then, maybe a Barasa for the damage. We're actually seeing every single character of the roster being used, and honestly, people are happy with it. I personally like it. I like the change of meta. There are a few things that I might have my own opinion, just like Hammer, for example. But other than that, I feel like, yeah, Chakram's very happy that they got nerfed to the ground. I don't want to say I'm a hater, but I definitely wasn't a pleasing experience whenever we had to go through all of that. And now that the Chakrams are like kind of out of the picture, I'm kind of wondering what's going to be the next weapon to take the lead and just be the one on the top of the game. And starting with the game, now that I mention it, we got Sly against Conan.
That is right. As you can see, both on the blasters, we've got a Lucian and pretty of an unusual pick here. We got Reno. Now, Reno, not really the most meta character, but I gotta say, might be a little bit better than some people are imagining nowadays. You got Orb and Blasters, two top tier weapons. So honestly, if it weren't for those stats, I believe this would be a much better character. Also, that D-Sig on Orb is rather useless, as some people have learned. So you're not exactly a popular character, but still, let's see what Sly can cook up on here. Right now, it's actually Conan cooking up right now, able to get that ground pound, which secures the stock and a pretty early lead for him.
Honestly, I do agree with certain things that you mentioned, but a little bit of a reminder for anybody watching. Reno did get boosted twice on the latest few patches. His signatures are a lot stronger, and they definitely KO much faster. So that's something to take into consideration, especially his blasters, which are definitely, they're kind of like weird, but at the same time they're unique, which is something that I definitely like to see in a character. Right now, Conan taking an absolute lead with those Katars, with that Katar gameplay, just completely crushing the spacing around Sly and not letting him breathe while he builds up the damage. But, I feel like it's too early to just try to determine who's going to be the winner.
That is true. And these guitars are getting in on the space of these blasters, and that's not what you want. When you have blasters, you want to put up kind of a brick wall with your side lights, your end lights, kind of make sure you can keep your opponent back and space them out. But Conan, able to weave his way in with these guitars, has been brilliant so far, and once again, getting that side air with the blasters, is able to send Sly almost to his KO, but not quite yet. Tries to rip a D-Sig there, but doesn't really work out. Sly over onto the orb, tries to give himself a recovery that is going to knock out. Okay, so he's got himself even stocks, but still a lot of damage to make up if he wants to take this first game.
Yeah, honestly, that's basically almost an entire stock. It's gonna be pretty. Ooh, speaking of which, that recovery will be the end of it, sending him out of the stage and sending him to last stock situation. Conan is looking pretty good right now. Again, taking down the Katars, he seems pretty confident of them, and honestly, I would be too, considering just how the match is going so far.
That's right. And you know what? I just realized that I'm on speed replay, or like the watching, so I'm like seeing the future. You guys have no idea what I'm gonna say next. I'll make sure to switch that back for the next game. But anyways, okay, so right now they're kind of evening things up. Well, no, not on the stock count. But on damage-wise, it's starting to even up a little bit. Sly struggling to find anything other than these 1 or 2 stray hits, and Conan's been stringing these guitar hits together. Very nicely done. Ground pound is going to almost secure that stock, but not quite yet. Trying to keep him off the weapon, but no. Back over to the guitars. Let's see what he can do. Probably looking for a D-Sig. Yep, as I say it, he's able to rip one out, but it doesn't kill just yet. It's
Since
getting
him out
close.
of the stage pretty far. Still being able to touch the wall is kind of interesting, especially considering the map that we're in. Lucian is definitely not the character with the biggest amount of damage, but I feel like his signatures do pack it like a big punch when it comes down to just sending you away. That delay into recovery, now a true combo that actually confirms the stuck, will be able to even out things stuck wise, but damage wise, Sly has a very long way in order to get it, and that delay recovery will seal the deal, giving the first game to Conan as well. Now, if I'm not wrong, I believe this is a best of 3, correct?
I'm actually not sure myself. We didn't have time to disclose that as to whether it was best of 3 or best of 5, but I'm assuming it would be best of 3 and something like this. Yep, it is going to be best of 3. Okay, that makes sense. So now Sly is going to be swapping over to something a little bit different. Now, if you know Sly, he is basically a die-hard Reno fan, right? He's always on that Reno time and time again, but right now, opting for something a little bit different, he's going on to the core. Now, how do you think about this? Or how do you feel about this, Althazar?
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised. I've pretty much known Sly for a few years now, and I've never seen him like hop off the Reno, especially like even during the time the weapon was like very nerfed and not so used like blasters. He still was very faithful to the character. So this is probably like a surprise pocket pick that he was keeping in case he found somebody that was able to break through the spacing of his blasters. And you know, we got Hammer, we got Gauntlets. Gauntlets are looking okay right now. They got a few nerfs, but they're still a pretty strong weapon. But Hammer is a weapon that I would definitely be like respectful of, especially because of the amount of like high increased damage buildup that it has, and also Core just has some really scary signatures that you can combo off.
Oh, absolutely. Don't even get me started on that Hammer side sig. The hitbox starts so high up in the signature, it really catches people off guard all the time. So I'm sure that's something we're going to be looking at in this match. But right now, things are relatively even. Sly trying to get himself some aerials with that Hammer, but able to get a D-light into the down air. Oh, yeah, that's going to be a stock right there. Conan going pretty crazy with his guitars, and once again, I think going over to the blasters, actually. I thought he was going to stick to the guitars, but he wants to also put up that kind of wall I was talking about earlier with these blasters. Let's see if he can do it to Sly, because it wasn't like Sly was able to do it to Conan.
I feel like, honestly, this is a smart idea, especially because Gauntlets do struggle against a weapon like blasters with the spacing and all. I don't know if Conan has more of an expertise when it comes down to blasters than Sly. I feel like that would be an even 50. And right now, Sly is actually cooking up very, very much the entirety of the stock of Conan with those hits from the Hammer. I feel like if Conan doesn't lock in, it's gonna be... Ooh, there we go. That delay surge sending him out of the stage and putting the situation back on an even though the stocks are not so even themselves.
Yep, and you can see Sly is sticking over onto the Hammer. He wants to get these big and heavy hits, but the only things hitting heavy are these side airs. Look at that, almost able to KO with that one. Now Conan is pressuring off the stage, tries to go for a gravity cancel D-light to pick up a recovery or side air, but it's not going to work out. But that side air, well, very nicely done. Sniping out there to get the side of the stage. Very, very nice. Now Sly finds himself in a similar deficit to that first game. I don't know how he's going to bring this one back. Maybe try out the Gauntlets. The Hammer is working okay, but at this point, I'm not sure if it's going to make any difference.
Conan is doing a really good job at just staying calm and also just watching his opponent. The fact that he's like being able to keep the control of the stage and then punish every time Sly utilizes his dodge in a manner that he might be able to... There we go, just like that, catching that dodge down and then going for that downer that could have easily become the end of the game. It just really comes to show the way that he's analyzing his opponent mid-game.
Conan is not afraid of this offstage gameplay. A lot of people, they kind of hesitate when it comes to Hammer offstage gameplay, or going against Hammer, rather, because one recovery could send you to your doom. But Conan, he's not worried about that at all. Instead, he rips an anti just like that. Tries to get a weapon throw to confirm the KO, but it's a little bit short. So obviously with the blasters now, Sly disarmed. Tries to go out there with a wild haymaker with that recovery, but not able to this time. Tries to get it with the D-light into the down air, but Sly now has a bit of a control of the stage. He's got to get something big here. It's going to be a big gauntlet string, but no. Instead, it's a D-light into the gravity cancel haymaker to end that game, and that is be 2-0 for Conan.
Yep, 2-0 for Conan. He moves on into the bracket of... I believe there's a bracket of...
yeah, I mean, it's a queue. So
the queue.
I guess he moves on in the queue. Right? That's
Something
how I'm
like that.
assuming it is.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like a ranked, but people do not repeat each other. So definitely next time we see Conan, it's gonna be against a different person. Now I do feel like Sly gave him a good fight. I feel like there was a lot of how do you say this, game of like adapting to each other, and I feel like overall Conan was able to not only see what his opponent was doing, but also with that character change, just also shift his gameplay in a way that was still useful for himself. And like you said earlier, those guitars, even against Hammer of the Stage, they were no fear at all right there, just trying to get that suck.
Absolutely, yeah, that is the type of gameplay you like to see, so glad to see it. But we are going to be moving on to a new match here, and we've got Setup versus Amrolol. I think that's Amriolol. I'm not sure.
I think that's
but
how you pronounce it. Yeah.
hopefully so. But yeah, these are two players that I'm not too sure about. The last two I definitely knew what they were going to be playing, but this is a new territory for me, so I'm not sure what we see coming out. But I'm interested to see what they pull to.
Seems like over here in the chat, Blackout Mauro seems to know who Rio is, so we might be about to see something interesting. I definitely recognize the clan that Setup is a part of, Brawl Familia, a pretty big SA Spanish community clan. So this might be an actual fight between two Spanish speakers. And let me tell you, SA players, they tend to be pretty wild with the things that they come up with, especially like during plays like this. We've seen it for the past 2-3 years. So I'm definitely excited to see what these two players can cook. Right now, Rio, I'm going to say Rio just to cut it up a little bit. Picking that Ulgrim, a character that has honestly received some pretty heavy nerfs, and Setup going with the good and old Hattori.
Yeah, I gotta feel bad for Ulgrim players in ones because their character is just so good in 2v2s that it has no choice but to keep getting nerfed and nerfed time after time, and that is what has caused it to get to the state where it is today, where it's still used a lot in 2v2s, but in 1v1s you just don't see it that much because it's just so nerfed. But then again, you still got people playing it, so at least there's some people that can find success with such a nerfed character. But Hattori, on the other hand, a character we don't see all too often, really. Good weapons, but the stats are lacking, I should say. Not exactly what you want to see. High speed, high dexterity, as opposed to those other two stats being more important, I would say. But
damage and defense.
anyways, yep. So we're getting into this first match here right now. What is it? Rio, yeah, right, that's where we're going. Rio is kind of dancing around with this Lance, trying to get some nairs. That's kind of what you want with Lance. You want to get these pop-up nairs, trying to lead into more nairs, maybe a recovery, maybe a side air. You're just trying to set up your opponent into the air and not keep them on the ground.
Yeah, it seems like both players are kind of trying to find their own setups, find where the other one gets something wrong, maybe like with an attack that they could utilize into a punish. And just out of damage alone, it seems like Rio is definitely having an easier time building up more attacks against Setup, mainly because of the range that his weapons, grant him, using those ground pounds. And I will say something that I want to mention is that this map definitely benefits a player like him with an axe that just can punish, attack around with, whatever I was about to say,
nice.
never mind, because that silent into gravity cancel this, it confirms and send him out of the stage, giving Setup a really, really nice advantage.
Yeah, that is a really risky read. Oh, and goes for it again. That was just BM right there. That wasn't even a KO anytime soon. But yeah, very risky, hard read there. Able to work out. And now, as you saw, there's a bit of a lead going on. But okay, once again, a nice hard read. And that is going to be on the side of Rio. He gets a down dodge read. And that's going to be a stock taken off of setup. Sorry, I saw set. Setup.
I'm also struggling myself.
Right, but okay, now we get another gravity cancel follow-up after that one light attack. See, that's we're seeing a lot of this so far, these gravity cancels. Neither one of them are afraid to go after these crazy setups. No pun intended with that setup on his name, but still, that's insane.
I feel like it's basically a back and forth right now. Like, one hit each other, and then he goes back to the other, and those breakdance move going up from the platform, almost taking the stock, and that Grampum will confirm once again Setup taking the lead. I feel like, even though, the damage buildup, it's a lot different on the characters. Setup is definitely playing his hard just to make sure that he stays on top in regards to the advantage. Now he needs to utilize this little stock that he got left to build as much damage as possible if he wants to assure himself a nice spot into the last stock of the game. And Rio, honestly, kind of is struggling just to get a hit on him. Maybe because of speed, maybe because of his weapon.
I'm not sure. Oh, but just narrowly dodging out of that Insig. That definitely would have been KO right there. Now, Rio picking up the axe. He's going to struggle a little bit to find this KO, even with a low defense legend like a Tori. It's going to be a struggle, and that weapon throw almost confirmed things, actually, but able to get back just in time. Disarming himself for the moment. Gets a Haymaker. Nice. He's got to find a weapon quick. Can he find it? Yes, he can. Now, going to look for an edge guard situation. He's got to go for something quick here. Oh, lets it back on.
That insect
Set up.
was a really risky play, honestly. That could have been the end of the stock. Oh, that Nair canceling out. I think it was an insect. It's still not being able to take the stock out. Probably because of his high defense. Now picking up the axe, trying to go into the edge card, trying to confirm. Still, he makes it back into the stage. Both opponents pretty damaged up, but setup right now is pretty much looking comfy. And that will be it with that recovery, sending him off the stage, putting the score 1-0 against Rio.
Yeah, I mean, that's... Oh, and setup is swapping. Swapping on win. What an aura play right there. And so is Rio. Okay, so we're getting an entirely new game here, basically. It appears we're going to have some Azuri and some Kaya. Now, I think it's funny, actually, that Rio is swapping over to Kaya, because you so often see in 2v2 setups, you see the Olgrim and the Kaya working well together.
Yep.
So swapping over to that is pretty funny. I'm not sure if it's because he plays both those in twos or not, but it would seem so. And then on the other hand, setup, he's going to another Sword Legend. This time it's Azuri. Pretty strong character. I mean, Sword isn't really in the best spot right now after those heavy nerfs in the last patch, but guitars are a decent weapon, and the signatures are still pretty good. So interested to see if this helps him. I'm not sure why he's swapping on win, but I guess it is a queue and rather than a tournament, so who cares?
I mean, even if it was by tournament rules, he would be allowed since he was the one to swap first, although he won.
Oh, yeah.
But either way, I'm pretty sure Seth was just feeling confident, especially because of that, gameplay that we saw with the sword. He was definitely moving around the stage, just completely comfortable against his opponent. Rio seems to have catched up a little bit with everything that was going on last game and decided, you know what, I think I need a character that's faster for what I'm trying to do right here. Still quite a change from weapons alone, just going into spear and bow from rocket lance and axes. It's definitely something interesting. Not a lot of players are able to pull something off like that on a whim. And I wonder if it's going to be enough to put a setup on a position where he might have to adapt into it.
Well, it's already looking better this time around with this Kaya, I gotta say, building up to pretty much even damage now. Setup going over to the guitars. He seems to be a little bit stronger on this weapon. Okay, goes to the N-Sig. That was nice. Rio trying to get a bit of an early closeout. Right now they're kind of jumping around. He's looking for mostly a Nair, it seems, trying to prop his opponent up into the air to get like a recovery or something. Bow obviously taking a while to KO, but that should be a stock right there. No. Setup just barely clinging on.
And that D-like rampant will be it. That D-like rampant confirming the stock. Honestly, just like I said earlier, the change of character is definitely throwing setup off the marks right here. That N6 sending him up is still not being able to be enough to take him out of the stage. Setup is, you could say a little bit desperate to get that confirmed, but there we go with that gravity cancel Dissig. Honestly, good old move on the Suri to use to confirm, but I feel like setup is definitely going to have to go a little bit more serious if he wants to make sure to keep the advantage against Rio right now, since he seems to be catching up to him.
Oh, definitely. Especially with that high defense of Kaya, it's going to be a lot harder for him to rack up damage and, of course, get that KO. Now, Rio able to get a nice D-Light setup. That's what this map is good for right here with Spear players. Going to get D-Light a lot easier thanks to those soft platforms. Now over to the bow. Tries to get an extension with that down air. It doesn't quite work out, but still the damage is starting to get racked up onto setup. Tries to rip a side sig. That sometimes really just catches people off guard, but this time setup is ready for it, but he wasn't ready for that D-sig. Setting him up nicely. The edge guard situation. What's going to happen? Okay. Now.
Just like you mentioned earlier, that defense on Kaya is definitely putting a toll on setup right now for him to just build up the damage and also confirming what could have been the advantage on this stock. Right now, Rio is playing a lot more comfortable, just going out for a little silly signatures, but setup in an incredible play, going for a charged up NSIG, confirms and goes once again into the advantage of stock.
Oh my goodness, I did not think that was going to work. I saw them both going down there, and I was like, eventually one of them's got to rip, right? But at the same time, both jumped and ripped the signature. That was just the perfect storm and able to close things out. Now, we see AMR is trying to get this final hit onto the stock, but the damage is coming. He's got to find himself a weapon. He's trying to keep him off, but it's going to be hard to close up the stock. Okay, nice breakdance right there. Able to even up the stocks. Let's see, he's gonna opt for that bow. He wants these long distance options rather than the close ups.
I feel like Setup did a really smart choice whenever he decided not to grab a weapon and just play unarmed on that last stug. I feel like he was just looking to build as much damage as possible with something fast, and it's definitely coming on and being worth it because right now those signatures are hitting hard and they're building up a lot of damage on AMR. Now he's coming back into the stage, switching back into the spear, which is a really nice choice against Qatars, though we'll see if that's enough to stop Setup and his advantage.
Yeah, it's a lot closer than last time, I will say that. AMR, or yeah, back over onto... I don't want to keep saying AMR, it's Rio. But anyways, once he gets caught by that side sig, he has no answer to these signatures. He keeps ripping them out and running straight into them, right, like a brick wall. Once again, getting a bit of a breakdance. That was close. Oh, goes for the haymaker. Rio wants to end things right now, but he's not able to. Getting the gravity cancel D-Light into the down air. Nicely placed, and that's going to be 2 down airs. Goes for the haymaker. What is going on? Okay, there it is. That is Rio getting taken out for the 2-0 setup. Very nicely done.
Honestly, that was pretty close. I thought we were about to go into our first game 3 of the night. I feel like AMR played really, really well. That little change into the Kaya definitely sent Setup off into trying to play different, play more respectful of the spacing of his opponent. But that second stock lead that he gained by going all risky with that NSIG was definitely one of the big things that gave him the advantage in order to just take the win. And that's what I like to see, honestly.
Most definitely. But now, let's see what we're going to be getting into. It looks like Conan is back in here from earlier after beating Sly, and I'm interested to see who we'll be going up against. But, yeah, that was a nice match. That was, once again, players, willing to put out very risky options, right? We saw a lot of times where they would rip these gravity cancel signatures like right above the stage, so it's like just adding a little bit of height with a whole bunch more risk, because if it whiffs, obviously you have no dodge for an extended period of time. So I'm glad to see they're willing to go out for those very risky options, and they worked too. So it wasn't a fruitless attempt. It was a good way to win those matches. But
yep, definitely agree with you there. And also, another thing that I wanted to bring up, since we're waiting on the next match. Remember, fellas, anybody that's watching, for the 124 people that are currently here, by participating in this queue and this King of the Hill sort of stream, you are also joining up to get on the giveaways for different codes, and also the new Ascended Nix giveaway that we have going on for the stream. So if anybody not only wants to have some fun and play Brawlhalla, but also have the chance to get something, you're more than welcome to participate. This is for NA only, though.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's
next
an
week,
expensive skin
next
right
week
there.
we're doing EU.
Oh, sick. There you go. Everyone's got a turn. But yeah, for you North Americans out there that want to get a chance at that new skin, which everyone is raving about, you absolutely need to get into this queue right now. Just play 1 set. That's all you need to do, and you will be entered into that giveaway. So make sure to come now before it's too late. But now we're waiting on this match, hoping that someone will be willing to take up that challenge against Conan or whoever else is in the queue at the time. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts, in the meantime, honestly, I feel like Conan is definitely one of those players that I'm looking forward to see. I want to see somebody of his caliber going toe-to-toe against him and just see what he's able to put out. I feel like his Lucian is really interesting, but I don't know why I have this sort of feeling that he has another character in there just saved up for whenever the challenge comes by,
That is true, that Lucian, despite how good it is only level 38, and you gotta imagine he poured more time on a different character, so perhaps, just maybe, we'll see something different in the future. But right now, he seems pretty locked into this Lucian. Obviously a very good pick, we haven't seen much of Lucian in a competitive sense since Luna was dominating back in, like, 2022, 2023, that era. So it's been a little bit since Lucian has had the spotlight, but I feel like with Blasters being as good as they are now, Qatars are decent, and Lucian is just a pretty decent character with that higher defense and higher speed. I would say definitely a character to look out for in the future of this esports year, because yeah, the Blasters, in my opinion, are like top 3, top 2. So if you got a Blasters demon out there, they're going to destroy you.
Man, you brought to me some really nice nostalgia whenever you mentioned Luna, the first king, the first one to get the title of king and win a Royale, and also just the player that was this close of getting BCX in his hands. I still have hope that Luna is gonna come back and is gonna overtake at some point and get the VCX that was stolen from him at one point. And it seems like we are about to get a match as well. We got Setup against Sly, which is interesting. Two players that we already saw play. Setup taking the win on the last game, and Sly perhaps going for the redemption now, going to face off and see if he can rank up those points that he lost against Conan.
Yeah, absolutely, and might have a bit of an easier time against the Reno than he would with Lucian, because I would say meta-wise, Lucian might be a better pick. Although honestly, I'm not sure, because what you said is true. Reno did get quite a few buffs in the more recent patches, and obviously Orb and Blasters are very, very strong, just like Blasters and Guitars. So who knows? Honestly, we could see either character being good. But Setup is going to be going over to the Nyx. So Nyx has been, once again, a very popular legend these days, obviously with the Blasters buffs, but then Scythe just being completely untouched in every single way. Like, this weapon has been insane for the longest time. So it's no surprise that Nyx has also been a really, really popular pick, especially with that, of course, that Ascended Nyx skin, which, of course, if you were to join this queue and play one set, you have a chance of winning. But enough plugging that. We need to get to this game right now. Both of them on the Blasters and kind of just doing your usual Blasters sidelight into side air, getting the true combos. Pretty even right now.
Yep, looking pretty even. Honestly, I'm kind of funny that the Sly has the Blasters from the new Ascended skin. Even though he's playing against the Nyx. Either way, it seems like Setup has an easy pick right now. He's going at it with the Blaster. He seems to be pretty confident. Oh, that they're trying to confirm into a recovery, not being able to hit it though. He goes for that gravity cancel disc. Kind of risky there, could have been punished. Still, the stocks are looking pretty even though. He seems to be in control of the stage. Sly not being able to actually find a good spot to punish. Oh, those breakdance move going down the wall almost sent him out. He's still not able to confirm it with that gravity cancel sidelight. That Sair sends him out once again, but he's able to come back and get a weapon. Now this side might be the weapon that he uses to confirm on Sly and get the first stock of the game.
Both of them being so aggressive off stage. There we go. Setup able to get that side air and close at the stock. But yeah, both of them, every time they sent each other off stage, they were there with the weapon throw to try and confirm it. Right there, the delay into the recovery is going to confirm things on Sly's side. And now they're pretty much even. We got Sly who's going to be picking up the Blasters instead. Kind of been his comfort weapon. Gets a nice read. That should be a lot of damage. Nice 5-piece. Extends with the 2 nairs. 3 nairs, actually. That's going to be almost a sidelight to a side air again. Setup is starting to struggle a little bit. And yeah, there's going to be a side or D-light into side air. Wow, that was so much damage built up in such a short amount of time. Let's see what can Setup do to try and offset that. Right now, he's over onto the Scythe instead. Okay, taking things off stage once again. Almost catches with that down air. But yeah, once again, just a way too big of a lead on Sly's part. Nice side air again.
Right now, Sly definitely woke up and decided, you know what, I am known as to be the Blaster player. I need to show off my skills. That string with the read on the Dutch was incredible, and the damage buildup, it really comes to show just how much Blasters has improved in regards to before, and that D-light into recovery true combo will be it, confirming and sending Sly with the benefit of the second stock against Setup. Honestly, Sepp is going to have to lock in if he wants to get that. I feel like he was getting a little bit overconfident when he decided to not go for his usual pick and go into a Blaster duel, and Slice definitely make him pay for that decision. That double nair into Sayers, again, building up the damage incredibly fast against Setup, and it just keeps going.
Oh, it keeps going. Okay, there we go. We got another catch right there. Setup is starting to get himself down into the red for this final stock. There it is, another GCD light into the side air. Tries to rip a... Oh my goodness, the fake out into the ground pound. That was so nice. That is going to close it out with 2 stocks there. Sly looking pretty dominant in this set, and I can imagine things are going to be relatively the same for the second game, unless Setup chooses a character they're probably a little bit more familiar with, and that is, well, not what I was expecting, but I mean, listen, I definitely support it. We got a Sentinel pick coming out. Now, I love Sentinel, of course. Very great that we're seeing some representation, because I think he's a very underrepresented character for how strong he is. So let's see if Setup can make him work. I'd love to see it.
He's an extremely underrated character. He's such a good character overall. Like, his guitars are amazing. His signature kit. absolutely great. His hammer also that recently, well, not so recently, but they got a little change on the side stick that now has extra range. But Sly definitely demonstrated what he's capable of with the blasters. Now deciding to maybe go for the ego pick, picking that Nyx that Seth was using earlier, and going full on with the new ascended skin for Nyx. It's definitely gonna be like an interesting match to watch. What I'm intrigued about is the hammer from Zeta. Will it be enough to counter any side play from Sly, and will it be enough to just send this game into game number 3, or will Sly finally get his first win on the stream tonight?
Well, I gotta say, the one thing that's not going for setup here is that Sentinel's damage is kind of low compared to other Hammer Legends, right? Base 4 could get 5 with the strength stat, but still, otherwise, you're gonna be looking at a little bit of a harder time to try and get KOs. But right there, fishing out with that side sig, very large hitbox, so he was able to catch that. Would have been an easy KO. But for now, looking on the brighter side of things, able to get a little bit more damage onto Sly, but okay, able to get himself a D-Light into the side air to even things up. Both of them looking for the KO right now. That was a nice insig from setup. Let's see what he's looking for. Goes over the guitars. I'm assuming he's going to be abusing these signatures. That's exactly what you want with this character. I know, that's like a top 1 guitars kit right there. I'm going to be perfectly honest. Nice with the breakdance. Able to close out that stock on the right side of the screen, and that's going to be primed up hammer. So he wants to get those larger strings with the more damage. Guitars, obviously less damage now with the nerfs, and also just being a lower damage weapon in general. So he wants those big hits, and he's getting them right now.
Yeah, no, honestly, I'm surprised. When I mentioned his hammer, I was expecting some little play, especially because of how we saw him play Catharsis earlier, but he's definitely just cooking up Sly right now, building up that damage extremely quickly and using those signatures to the best of his ability to, not only add some space between him and Sly, but also punish anything that Sly does wrong. He's looking pretty green right now, approaching red almost, and that rampon is going to confirm, giving another stock of advantage for setup right now. That Sentinel is looking strong, and that recovery will not be enough to confirm.
Oh yeah, that Sentinel defense, I'll tell you, it'll anchor you to the ground. Even that was so close to not KOing, but thankfully for Sly's sake, it did. Now he's got an entire stock lead that he's got to snuff out if he wants to take this and not bring it to a 1-1 tied set. Setup now over onto the guitars, seeming to be the weaker weapon of the two, but okay, gets a nice little weapon throw setup right there. That nicely did some damage. Now, once again, trying to go back over the hammer. That's definitely been his stronger pick of the two right now. Sly cooking up a little bit of the blasters, but once again, he's got a large deficit to make up. I don't know if he can do it.
I'm pretty impressed by the way that he's managing his spacing right now, especially because playing hammer against blasters can be kind of tricky. Blasters definitely has the advantage in the fact that he can guard you and keep you away, but the moment you're able to enter that center of space, still got a little bit too over cocky there and just decided to launch himself with that Ensig and got completely punished by a gravity cancel Ensig on the blasters by Sly. Probably not the best of plays. Still, he's still like, looking pretty good.
Any other legend, you could do that against any other legend, just not the one with the insanely strong spike move. You know what I mean? Like, that's all I'm gonna say. But still, though, he does get quite a bit of a lead, so it's not too big of a deal. Still, Sly is happy to even that up as quick as possible, and you can already see there's a couple of blasters attacks right there, getting the side air, side light, side air. That is going to be quite a bit of damage. Once again, tries to get another one, but still, even with the miss, is able to get one right afterwards, and setup. He went for the sidelight instead. That could have been an easy stomp Sayer, but instead gets picked up by the D-Light into the recovery, and that is an insane comeback from Sly. Nicely done. That is going to bring things 2-0. So well done. Wow, I was not expecting that. I thought setup was at least going to take it right there, and then Sly would have been, back to the Reno and maybe have taken it, but Sly, he's got that Nyx in the bag.
Yeah, honestly, I'm pretty surprised. We didn't see a lot of gameplay when it comes down to the side itself. We didn't see a lot of like crazy strings, but Sly definitely defended himself with those blasters and just completely took over. It was honestly impressive the way he was able to bring that game back. I do feel like setup kind of threw some of his best plays away whenever he got the advantage that he had. I feel like he could have played a lot more safe. He could have keep the control of the stage with the hammer and just try to overall just play it safe until getting that win, and then going into game number 3 perhaps do some of my risky play in there. Still, Sly was able to overcome all of that and just keep his head completely cool and just make sure to get the right plays on and bring that game back, and honestly I have to respect that.
Absolutely. You know, patience is the key with a lot of these things, and especially with Blaster, it's such a punishing weapon with being how quick those sidelights can come out. And of course, now they have the true KO confirmed combo with the sidelight and side air, so you've really got to pick your spots carefully against that weapon. And unfortunately, it was just a little bit too much for setup. He was able to, or sorry, Sly was able to bring it back around on setup. So yeah, just maybe a little bit more patience, and especially with that slide charge and sig, that was just not the way to go. But, you know, you live and you learn, right? So it's not too big of a deal. But yeah, that will be Sly taking things where it seemed to be a 1-1. I basically wrote that off right there, but Sly proved me wrong. So well done to him.
As a Sentinel player yourself, how would you say were like the best opportunities he had in order to like bring up the game? Like, do you think that that's a matchup that's usually winnable for Sentinel? Or do you think that it was pretty impressive the way he was able to actually overtake the blasters with the hammer?
I think there was a distinct lack of NSIGs on guitars. That right there is easily the best signature in the kit. I mean, there's an argument probably for the D-Sig since it's a good spiking tool, but that NSIG on the guitars is so fast. It covers so much area. It's really good after like a sidelight D-Light, for example. You can go like down air into an NSIG. Really, it covers a lot of options. So, you know, even though I don't advocate for SIG spamming, sometimes that really can be the difference maker. That signature is so good. And I noticed he went more for the D-Sigs and whatnot, which can be good for like spikes off stage. I've used it a lot that way. But there were some instances where they were kind of stacked, and I could have seen a guitar's N-Sig being ripped and definitely would have made the difference. But, you know, clearly it's not too big of a, or not really his expertise, that Sentinel pick. It was kind of out there, and yet still was able to bring it pretty close. So, you know, it's a good pick. Maybe something he might need to consider practicing more and perfecting, because, you know, he's a good character.
As a pocket, I feel like it could be. I mean, having a Sentinel as a pocket is always good. I feel like it's a well-rounded character that can get you out of a really bad situation if you're like in a tournament or something. It seems like Sly got a game here, checking on the game chat. But while that gets set up and we start, what other things could we speculate about other than the fact that this right here, this kind of like playstyle is very unique to Brawlhalla. We haven't had something like this. I feel like ever since like Rank S. And I feel like if things go right, this could become one of the new, more like watched on, looked upon game styles that we see on tournament or like on stream. At least I'm having a lot of fun just watching, you know, more of like the casual side of the players going toe to toe against each other, especially because it's more like community open and it's not just so close to only the pro players that are able to make it, but also everybody has a chance to appear here and demonstrate their own skill.
Right, I absolutely agree. And you know, one thing is that I've talked about in the past. You know, I've heard that South Americans, at least for like their region, they like to play against each other all the time. Just do spars. They don't put money on the line. They don't go necessarily. Well, some of them grind and ranked, but sometimes they just play for fun. And I know that in North America, there's not as much of that. You know, at least at a top level, I feel like it's more either money matches or the few that play ranked will be in there. But really, it's a smaller community as far as that goes. And this really gives people the opportunity to play not with money on the line, but really just a more relaxed environment. And once again, like you said, as more people can show up, anyone could appear here. There's obviously a skin that you could possibly win if you play. So everyone wins. You know, it's a fun time, and I think it's a really good way to push the game and not just, you know, I only play if there's money or if there's elo on the line or a tournament on the line. Let's just play to play, and that's exactly what this type of format gives. So I'm glad to be here.
If you were the one playing in this event right now, out of all the people that we've seen so far, who would you think? Give me like somebody that you think you could beat and somebody you think you would lose against. Or if you don't think you could lose, how would you overall like do in this scenario?
Well, you know, I'm not exactly sure because I'm a little bit rusty at the moment. But you know, I think I could get up there for some. I think I'd probably struggle against like Sly specifically or Conan, just because a lot of weapons like blasters or guitars, both of them can really run me down. I personally struggle.
I feel you there.
Those. Yep. But you know, the good thing is that I'm here on the mic instead, so I don't have to worry about whether I'm going to win or not. I just have to worry about saying the right words. And speaking of which, we're actually going to be getting into the next round here. We got a new player coming up to battle Sly. Not Psy, this isn't Gangnam Style. Sly, who he's going to be going on to the Darth Vader. Okay, that's a little bit interesting. I was not expecting a non-blasters pick from him.
Probably want to switch it up a little bit. You know, Sword is it has gotten a little bit roughed up by the recent patches. It's definitely gotten some people say well-deserved nerf. As a sword player myself, I don't think so, but you know how it is. Against Round Earth Theory, who's
This is
playing
propaganda.
Sidra.
I'm sorry, that was some propaganda. The sword definitely needed it,
I'm
but
plugging in the propaganda.
yes, you are. I mean, they went a little too harsh. I will say, sword definitely needs some buffs now, but yeah, it was definitely on the higher end of things, to say the least.
They
But
did my delayed baby dirty. I'm just gonna say it.
that is true. That is true. But right now, we're actually going to see two sword players right here. We got the Sidra and the Ezio. So here we go. We got Round Earth Theory. Not really sure if that's a theory more than a fact, but you know, it's okay. It's also a fact that that D6 spiked to the death right there. That's
Ooh.
insane. I cannot believe that KO'd so early, but look at that. Such an early stock from Sly. Very nicely done. I didn't think he'd have this Ezio in the pocket, but I guess he's got all the pocket picks with both Orb and Blasters.
I feel like
Is it-
Ezio is one of the most. Oh, well, that punish on the Sair, that Grandpa Sair punish against Eric, just completely sending him out after he wasted his dodge on that Ensig. I feel like a little bit of a misplay, possibly, or a misinput. Right now, that cannon's not looking too bright against Sly. He's definitely like stopping most of his attacks with the sword and keeping the spacing on his favor. That that down sig into Sair, sending him out of the stage. That was pretty nice. Honestly, I haven't seen a player that utilizes that signature a lot. I remember when the character came out, that was the signature that sold me personally. I thought it was so cool.
That's fair. But yeah, the thing is, no one really uses this character. But once again, Sly able to utilize that confirm right there and gets a nice double nair into the KO off the top. And that is a quick 3-stock from Sly. And Round Earth Theory, yeah, just throwing out the big brain right there. He knows he got kind of brained on, but still has a chance here, you know. Perhaps that wasn't exactly a pick of his that he's too confident in. Right now he's going over to the Thor. Okay, so we're still going to get some a better character in there. We got some Thor gameplay. I like Thor quite a bit. You know, I think he's underutilized quite a bit compared to how he could be. Orb and Hammer being very strong weapons, and you know the signatures are a little weird. You know, I'll hold it to you. Those signatures can get kind of weird, but sometimes you know when you're spamming that Hammer D-Sig, for example, against the ledge, it's a good edge guarding tool at times. And if you can really get creative with those orb signatures, I mean, who knows? We could see some
honestly,
cooking.
Personally, I'm excited because we're about to see one of the meanest peaks, as people are having said, in regards to blasters, which is BB or Mega Man in this case. Probably the strongest blaster character at the moment, just because of the overall weapons and stats. The signatures are absolutely insane, and well, Battle Boots is Battle Boots. Battle Boots is a pretty strong weapon right now. I've heard people call them the new Catars, and then there's the down stick.
Oh yeah, that down sig has caused so many problems for so many people. I call on Clem showing us all that back in the day when Vivi wasn't even nerfed yet, and people were just like, this character is really, really good, but no one's really using her. And then Clem came out of nowhere and started destroying with her. It was really, really awesome to see. And now, yeah, a lot more people use her. You know, we see Balloon Boy sometimes on her, and he often gets, you know, top 3s and whatnot. So really got some strong representation on the Vivi, and Sly doing the same here. Once again, able to get a good light there, extends with that side sig, and yeah, that's going to close out the stock. Though I got to say, Round Earth Theory, he's got a little bit more of a closer game here than he did last time. He was getting completely wiped in that game number 1, but he's got a bit of a fighting chance right now.
Yeah, I feel like he's feeling a lot more confident now that he changes to the Tor. The signature kit on Tor, it's definitely scary, but Sly is honestly doing a quick work of him right now with those blasters. He's moving around the stage completely confident. He's almost not fearing the hammer, and dodging through that Ensig is pretty impressive. When you don't do it right, you can easily like get it and accidentally get yourself out of the stage. But right now, Sly is just confident that he's not only able to dodge through it, but punish it. And just like we saw, these might even be another 3-0 scenario just based on how well he's playing, going for those reads, catching with the downer after the nair. Will it be enough, though, or will this be the end of his stock?
That was an interesting signature right there, and wow, getting spiked by that Ensig. Round Earth Theory is trying desperately to not get 3-stocked again from downtown. That Ensig, I was not expecting that to connect, but that time he had full faith in it, and it worked out. Now, he's got 2 entire stocks to clean up if he wants to win this, and when he's gone, yeah, now Dark Orange, this is going to be really, really hard. He's got to play nearly perfect Brawlhalla if he wants to bring this back, and really, I just don't think he's capable of doing it against Sly right now.
Yeah, Sly is definitely playing out of his mind. I feel like he's fired up. He's more comfortable than he was whenever we started with the. I keep trying to say tournament, but it's not a tournament. This King of the Hill playstyle, and he's definitely like going through every single opponent like it's none of anybody's business. Right now, with those stats, 258 on the battle boots, 255 on the blasters. I'm surprised by how even those look. Honestly, it's only separated by 3 points of damage.
Yeah, I mean, Orb, it definitely allows you to play more defensively, obviously, when you got things like that down air, which kind of space people out, and then, of course, you have the side light reaches out pretty far, and that's a good true combo, or, leads into a good true combo. So I understand wanting to step over onto the Orb rather than the Hammer, which requires a lot more risk. You need to be on top of people in order to get those D-lights, which is really what a lot of Hammer gameplay is centered around. So I understand it, but yeah, in the end, Sly, he was just way too dominant and was able to make quick work of them. So that is once again Sly going on a bit of a rampage. I gotta say, he's doing very, very well for himself. So we'll see if he's continuing to lead out in this it's not a bracket, but in
I know
this
it's
stream.
It's getting me too. I'm still. We need to pick a name for that. We need to like figure out a name of how we're gonna call this.
I guess so.
Because
We're the
matchmaking
pioneers
event
here.
is like the example type of name. We need to put an actual special name for this so we can actually address it as how it is. And from what I'm seeing over here in the game chat, we might be having another game where we see Conan show off his skills, though against a new player, which I'm definitely excited about because gotta switch it up a little bit. Sly definitely had the spotlight there with his blasters showing off after losing to Conan at first. He definitely came up and just completely demonstrated his skill by winning on different characters and just showing off that it's not all just about losing. Though I'm pretty excited to see if this will be the person that is able to take Conan down from his current positive score in the bracket. Well, not bracket, but you know what I mean.
Yes. The makeshift brackets, makeshift queue.
In the rank, I suppose. That's the best way to put it. The rank.
Leaderboard.
Leaderboard
okay.
too,
Leaderboard
yeah.
is a good term. Thank you, slow motion from the production booth. But yes, so leaderboards is a good idea. That's good. So we do have Conan here, who like you said, he's been pretty much the top dog so far, it seems. So let's see if Prometheus will be the one to take him down. We got some more Brawl familiar representation. So W. Of course, we got Conan representing Perseus. So W on that front as a Perseus member myself. But yeah, we're getting into this game here, and we've got some Onyx. Okay, Onyx,
Hey.
I gotta say, not used too often because Cannon in 1v1s really is kind of, I don't want to say dead, but I do kind of want to say dead because it's really not a 1v1s weapon. Never really has been, but not right now especially. But Prometheus wants to pull it out right now, and Onyx is a strong Cannon legend, so I could see this working out. But here we go, get into this first game.
Maybe one of the strongest, I would say, like right now, especially just because of how it's looking in regards to the patches. I know that a lot of people are playing Onyx right now, especially because of the recent Destiny crossover skins added some interesting stuff to the roster of skins for Onyx. Though Prometheus playing in a very interesting way, using the downers to move around and just push Conan into the spots that he wants him to, and then pretty much of an air style kind of play. Conan's definitely going to have to adapt into that and just make sure he doesn't utilize his dodges in a way that might be punishable because Prometheus is definitely catching those. And
yep, that's what you gotta be careful with. Oh, okay, that was a really opportune moment right there for Conan to get some damage, but didn't get as much as I think he was hoping for. Either way, starting to even things out a little bit more, able to get the nice side light into the end light, and yeah, Prometheus is starting to get the damage built up onto him. But like you said, yeah, those dodge reads are really going to hurt Conan, because Cannon's really good at bringing up hitting those dodge reads and then just carrying people off stage, often to their death very, very early in the stock. So he's really got to be careful if he wants to hold on to his stocks and not get wiped early.
Ooh,
right
nice
there, that
N-Sig.
N-Sig, I really thought that was going to KO, but wasn't able to. And now both of them sitting very, very dark on this red here. Either one of them could throw a signature or something to get an easy KO. Not sure who's going to do it. Both of them kind of standing back, wanting the other one to go for something first. But, okay, there we go, guy. Oh, I thought I was gonna combo up into the recovery right there, that D-Light.
Well,
But
that Sayer didn't
yeah.
take the stuck either.
Ooh.
Oh, but the gravity cancel side sig will be it. Honestly, something that I'm seeing right now, and I feel like it's going to be the biggest issue for Conan, is the lack of damage that Lucian has and the high defense that Onyx has is definitely a little bit of a counter for himself right now. Still, being able to put those stocks back to even states in 2-2. I feel like he's probably going to be sticking out a lot more with the Katars. He seemed to be a lot more comfortable playing with the Katars, not only against Gauntlets, but also against Cannon. But Prometheus not lacking behind, just going off on the attack with the not with the blasters, with the Gauntlets right now. Also,
Yeah,
just a little bit of a side note right here, but I just saw in the chat, somebody said the Battle of the Beards, and I feel like that could be a really cool name.
That is a pretty cool name. Someone copyright it quickly. Anyways, now Prometheus, I think, is better off sticking to this cannon. He did really, really good abusing those down airs. You know, he's kind of using it the same way that Scythe players like to use their down airs, you know, kind of as a buffer in front of them. It's hard to punish, so I understand why they want to do that. But Conan's starting to figure this out. You know, he's building up this damage pretty quickly. Obviously, he's going to struggle a little bit to KO, unfortunately, with guitars being like that. But I thought that was going to be a much bigger combo right there. I think Prometheus might be kicking himself a little bit right there, not able to get nearly as much damage as he should have. And yeah, that's going to be an easy punish right there, trying to go for a gravity cancel D-Light, but Conan there with the Insig to close things out. And like you said, sticking those guitars because they've been doing so good for him so far in this set.
Yeah, can we talk about that weapon toss that was able to save him from that Sayer? That was pretty impressive. I feel like Conan not only was able to just adapt to Prometheus right now, but also the amount of damage that he's building up and those reads on the guitars, catching that Dutch with the dare and sending him all the way down over to the end of the blast zone, almost taking the stuck, but still it's gonna struggle a little bit to go back into the stage. Oh, sadly burned all of his options. Prometheus was able to confirm. But still, the damage difference right now, it's looking pretty grim for him. Cannon can definitely build the damage fast, but it's gonna be hard considering that how Conan pretty much has his gameplay completely studied by now. And that N6 sending him out of the stage.
Yeah, that's really not good for him. And now Conan's got the more consistent KO weapon, yet with those siders right there, not even going to like a side light or a D light. He just needs these raw attacks. That's all he needs. Gets that recovery, and that's going to send Prometheus up on the top. And that's 1-0 now for Conan, who's seeming just, like I said, the top dog in this leaderboard and proving so on Prometheus as well. But still, you know, maybe he's got an answer, right? Prometheus might have a different pick to pull out. Like I said, Cannon, not exactly the best weapon in the 1v1's meta, so perhaps he'll choose something different. But no, it seems he's going to be sticking to it, what he's, you know, liking best. So that's completely fair. But
honestly,
I don't know, he's kind of struggling.
Impressed. I'm impressed myself. Like, Prometheus started the game pretty fired up. He was doing a lot of damage against Conan. Conan was actually struggling just to, you know, get a space where to breathe, to where to actually do his plays with the blasters. And like Conan didn't even take a full game to not only adapt, to understand also the way that he was playing, the way that he was utilizing, just like you mentioned, those downers kind of as like a way to open up his combos. And now that he's got that in, now that he's able to understand what Prometheus is looking for with those guitars, he's just completely like outplaying him and just moving around confidently in the stage. Maybe the change of a scenery, you know, going into Miami Dome might be what Prometheus needs in order to adapt his gameplay against Conan, but those soft platforms right now are definitely benefiting him just to build up more damage against Prometheus.
Right, yeah, he's not really able to challenge that aerial game like he was hoping to. You know, these gravity-canceled cannon attacks often can be very good for cannon players, but really Prometheus has not been able to find the mark with it so far, and Conan is always right there to get the easy punish, and against blasters, it's not very forgiving. Oh man, right there, that should have been a KO, but not able to link it up into a cider after that D-Light might cost him more damage than he was hoping for. Let's see, okay, Conan going for that side stick, and that's gonna... Yep, close things out pretty quickly there. And looking at a pretty similar deficit as before, I don't know, Prometheus, he's got to have some sort of answer quick, because otherwise Conan's going to run him down. Yeah,
just looking at how everything is right now, Conan definitely has a really good advantage, though Prometheus, with that quick read on the Gauntlets, was able to build up a lot of damage. Gravity Cancel side stick comes out and not being able to hit, but that down stick slided from the sub-platform is actually enough to take down Conan, which I personally think it's impressive because Lucian is a character with a lot of defense, and that was pretty much orange right there. Still, you know, Conan seems to be pretty comfy even with the blasters against Prometheus and his cannon right now, so he's definitely going to have to play a lot more carefully if he wants to just have the chance of taking the lead in this game.
I think Prometheus right here, what he's doing better this time, he's picking up the speed. It looks like he's moving around a lot more. Conan before was able to pick out his spots very, very nicely and get easy punishes against Prometheus, but right now, he's actually being a bit more harder to predict. You know, even with the slower speed of Onyx, he's still getting around quite easily, and that's leading to him getting less punishes and also getting more damage right there. Nice ground pound, confirming that stock, and now it's actually a pretty decent lead for Prometheus, a complete turnaround from the beginning of this game.
Yeah, he's definitely just changed the way he's playing right now. He saw that Conan was able to adapt and decided to try it out himself. And so far, not only the signatures is something that has increased, it's definitely building up a lot more damage against Conan, but also the way he's utilizing his Dare, mixing it up with the Sayers as well and the Gravity Cancel Sidelights is something that's definitely helping him to outplay Conan still. Conan mastering the spacing on the main platform, not allowing him to touch the ground and just keeping him in the air, confirming with that recovery really goes to show the knowledge that he has on those blasters. Switching up onto the Katars, probably because he wants to build up as much damage as possible on this last stock and just seal the deal, but we'll see if it's enough.
Definitely. Okay, try to go for a ground pound there on the stage, but doesn't really work out. Conan able to interrupt it right there with that D-Light, and now the damage is racking up really quickly here. That's exactly what Katars is good at, is getting these quick and easy bursts of damage. Conan, he's going to keep him off the weapon. He is, for right now, able to get that nice interrupt right there, and Prometheus, oh, just barely hanging on right there. Once again, Conan weapon starving. That should be an easy... Okay, that was a little bit weird right there. Prometheus now armed, but it's too little too late. That is Conan ripping out that Insig, able to get the KO, and that is going 2-0 over Prometheus.
Conan went absolutely bananas in that last stock, just completely demolishing Prometheus and all of his confident play in just the last minute, pretty much. Like those Katars, the reads on the dodges, the way that he was building up that damage, and also those last few delayed into Nair, delayed into Sayer mix-ups, just sending him further and further away from the possibility of winning. That was absolutely impressive. Like, as I was saying earlier, I wanted to see somebody that was able to make Conan lock in and show more of his skill, and it definitely happened.
I would agree, yeah. And also showed a little bit more of those blasters, you know, on the earlier sets that we saw. He was more on those guitars, and we do like to see, of course, some guitars gameplay, but those blasters had a bit more of a spotlight right there in that game, so glad to have seen it. But now I'm interested to see who we'll be seeing going next. Obviously, you know, we've had Sly and we've had Conan. The two of them have been kind of the front runners in this little leaderboard bracket going on, but perhaps we'll be seeing someone new. I just saw Spaceatronics join. My goat,
Spaceatronics, the one and only, who recently finally made his comeback back to the community after, you know, surviving the trenches, also known as college.
Yep.
I feel that completely, honestly. Actually, Tripped Up and I share a very funny story. We both participated in the what was it called, Veluve college?
It's the Beluve or Believe. It's one of those two. The collegiate tournament.
Yeah, and actually, Tripped Up right here was the one to give him my first loss in that tournament. I went against that Sentinel, and let me tell you, it wasn't nice. I definitely got hit by a lot more of those N6 that he was talking about earlier.
Yeah, right, exactly. I knew you'd have the personal front-hand experience. Those N6, it's exactly what you need if you'd be playing that Sentinel. But yeah, that is right. And I believe they'll be doing more tournaments like that. So if you're a college player, and I mean, I know obviously this is not collegiate sponsored, but still, it's a good one to join. So in case you know what we're talking about, shout out to PairPod.
Shout out to PairPod for those amazing events, and also shout out to our boy Slow Motion, who's behind all of this right now, working as hard as he can just so he can bring this type of events, more of a little bit of a mix-up from all the main tournaments and main community tournaments to not only mix the things that we have to do, but also just to also try and open the community to a more diverse, how would you say, maybe like, not playstyle, but a way of playing the game in this leaderboard sort of bearded skirmish type of tournament that we are having tonight. And while we wait, how about we discuss something that we saw today on trending in Twitter about Brawlhalla, which is the speculation of a possible new Ascended skin, which would be Ascended Red Raptor.
No, I'm gonna be honest. I actually have not seen this on Twitter. I really haven't been too active on Twitter today, so I don't know. But maybe inform me a little bit as to why it's being speculated that there might be a new Ascended skin.
So I feel like it was a mistake done by Brawlhalla, and once they realized that it was a mistake, they kind of left it like that. They set up a new video on their channel, which is titled just like that, and it seems to be an animation for Red Raptor. Usually when they schedule the videos, they leave it on private until the video comes out. But now that it is right there and that people are able to see it, a lot of people are not only like excited to see if this is actually going to be like the skin reveal of Ascended Red Raptor, but also like I feel like everybody's kind of shocked that not only did we get Nyx, the Ascended Nyx right now with the graphic novel coming out real soon, but also the fact that already we're getting a Red Raptor skin possibly. We still don't know. It's all speculation. But I'm definitely excited to see what Brawlhalla is cooking and what they got in mind.
Most definitely, and I'm glad you brought that up because I just remembered that I need to get the graphic novel. I said I would, and I hadn't ordered it yet, but I really need to because, yeah, you know, it really is cool. You know, at the end of the day, I'm not too big on graphic novels, but still, if Brawlhalla is dropping something like that, you know, Brawlhalla lore, it goes deep, right? Brawlhalla lore is something else, is spectacular.
I know
So,
Baron's
definitely
gonna
interested to
analyze that graphic
Oh,
novel
oh, yeah,
like
right?
crazy. He's gonna
Oh yeah,
he's gonna have
gonna
tweet
go, like, game
longers
theory on it, right? He's
analyzing
like-
that.
exactly. So yeah, I definitely want to be right there along with them with that graphic novel. So make sure to pick yours up if you haven't already. Graphic novels be releasing like June 30th or something like that, or I know it's sometime in June. I forget exactly when. But either way, we're getting into our next match. Actually, both these players repping the new Art Deco color scheme, which by the way, easily like a top 3 color scheme. Like this
It's
thing's
beautiful.
insane.
I adore it.
Oh yeah.
It's such a good scheme, not only with like almost every single skin, but also the fact that we're finally getting a little bit of a change. You know, not so many like blue base, red base kind of colors, but also the fact that, you know, some yellow, some black, which is always nice to see because we don't have a lot of skins that actually, you know, have black colors in it. And
Oh yeah.
now that I mentioned something dark, it's looking pretty interesting for a space right now. He's getting hit by a lot of those ADA signatures, and oh
Oh.
my god, no! Oh, they're running out of options and landing right head on to that ground pound.
He was getting a little bit too overzealous there, but I mean, I can't really blame him when he's got such cool particle effects with the, you know, Ascended Nyx skin. That is so very cool. The way you're able to get the trail effects from a little bit too much force, I think that's really, really cool. And I'm hoping you're gonna be able to use that with like all blasters in the future. You know, you could like as a new cosmetic, kind of like the companions, because that would be a really cool way of using it,
My
and not
theory-
just locking it to the Nyx, you know. But either way, right now things are relatively even. Once again, both on the blasters, kind of getting their spots out there, getting the D-Light into side airs. Right there, we had our Disley's, right? I think that's what that is. He's able to get himself a little bit of a pickle right there. Yeah, that D-Light into the side air is going to confirm the stock. And once again, Spaceatronics completely sticking to the blasters. He wants nothing to do with that scythe.
I feel like he's feeling a lot more confident with the blasters right now. He was definitely able to cook up a lot more damage with the blasters and just outplay the spacing that Dilsys, correct? Was able to do to him. Still, you know, it's Ada. It's a character that, especially right now, it's pretty strong. Not only because blasters are pretty much at its peak that they've had in a while, but also a character with a lot of damage and signatures that can definitely hit you if you don't play carefully.
Ooh.
Still, Spaceatronics incredibly getting that gimp right there, canceling all of his options with a weapon test, and then going for the D-like grandpa that almost confirms. That was fast. That was quick.
That was pretty quick. You saw Spaceatronics right there going for a pretty nice clip off the stage right there and worked down the end, even though he didn't confirm the clip. So we'll give him half credit. Good job. We appreciate the effort. And yeah, we're gonna be seeing them going back into the same picks here.
I wanted to
you know,
mention, since you brought it up, that little wish that you had in regards to the particles. My theory, the same way that you mentioned with the companions, is that, you know, when we got the first companion, which was Grogu, it was only for the Mandalorian. Then we got the Destiny and the other different skins that actually had companions, and we got the little own area where you could actually switch companions around, and it actually became a more of a stored thingy. I'm hoping that eventually we'll be able to use those particles not only with like Ascended skins, but like any other skin that we put it on. And if that's the case, then I feel like, you know, it might make the price on the skins a lot more worth it.
yeah, you know, because you saw how it was obviously divided up, and it was its own separate item, the effects, and that was, you know, 240 right there. That's no cheap item right there. So it would be nice to see that. But I'm sure that might be their intention. You know, I think this is something they have a lot of potential with. Obviously, these particle effects being something relatively new, or not relatively new, very new. So there's a lot of different directions they could take it. But I'm hoping they will allow us to use them for different things. But
combo
speculation
from space.
aside, well, what we are seeing right now is Spaceatronics once again pulling ahead with these blasters. You know, I'm gonna go with Dilslis or whatever you said, because Disley's sounds a little weird.
Or just Dill.
Dill. You know what? You're right. You Dill. I will go with Dill.
Dale, almost the same thing. Right now, acting a little bit desperate, going for those quick signatures, trying to confirm on Spaceatronics and just get the stock off, and still not being able to get that damage there. Almost trying to get the combos, but missing by just a little bit. Oh, that jump nair, not being able to hit somehow will just give more space for Spaceatronic to build up damage. He's definitely playing nicely in regards to not falling into those signatures. Those signatures from Ada can be really tricky depending on how you push them against your opponent, but Space is definitely dominating the stage control right now, and it's completely overtaking the damage. And just the moment I say that, a recovery sends him off this stage, putting again the stocks on a equal scenario, even though the damage is not something I would call equal.
Not at all. Oh, okay, Spaceatronics right there whiffing that, and okay, we see a really strange interaction up there towards the top of the stage, but at the end they both kind of leave unscuffed and kind of the same position as they were before. That side air is going to close things out. And where is he, Spaceatronics? Now we're onto the scythe. This is kind of the first we've seen of this scythe. Let's see if it makes any difference in the gameplay, because really it's been up on those blasters to do all the damage so far. And yeah, he's kind of just trying to get these openings. You know, he's not really sure how to get his way in there, and Dill is actually doing a pretty good job using these end lights and side lights to create himself a little bit of a wall against Spaceatronics. And now Space is kind of struggling, really, right there, going for a D-Sig. You know, or actually it was the N-Sig. I forget sometimes that that's an N-Sig. I'm like, hold on a second, that looks so much like a down-Sig. But anyway.
Honestly, that was a pretty way to describe it, though. I know it's kind of like a confusing thing about the weapon, and honestly, Spaceatronics right now trying to go for those clips with the sight. I know it's a weapon that can be pretty hard. I know that double dare confirming sending Dill out of this stage completely and giving Spaceatronics that unexpected win. Personally, I kind of want to see a fight between Spaceatronics and Slow Motion right now, see who's the better TO, because I did not expect Spaceatronic to move like this. He was definitely like cooking some cool stuff with those blasters, especially that little fight they had at the top of the stage. I really expected him to take the stock right there.
That would be something interesting to see. I would not mind that myself. But yeah, okay, so good job to Spaceatronics releasing those Nicks. Yeah, we've seen a lot of Nicks. We've seen so much blasters. That has really been the weapon that has been kind of the common denominator throughout this entire tournament, or not tournament, but leaderboard. That's the word I'm searching for. Leaderboard. It's really been so much blasters. You know, we've seen Conan, who's kind of been to the top right now. He's been using Lucian. Then we saw Sly, obviously on the Reno most of the time. Has been playing some other characters too, but mostly those blasters or Reno. And then right there, Spaceatronics on that Nyx, and mostly using the blasters. So yeah, it really seems like the top players right now, at least in this leaderboard, are using the blasters. And I can't say I'm surprised with how good of a weapon it is right now.
Yeah, no, I feel like the only players that we actually have seen like show off a decent amount of skill and also just really nice fights without the blasters have been like Setup, and Setup did play Nyx on one set, and then I think it was what was his name, the cannon player, trying to remember, Prometheus, playing with that Onyx that definitely like gave a nice show. And you heard from Slow Motion right here. There's a 3-way tie for first place. Oh, well, never mind. But we just got informed by Slow Motion. There's a 3-way tie on first place right now. So, you know, we're getting there to see who might be able to take the lead and who might be able to get, you know, that Nick skin home. Or at least Nick skin code in this case.
Right. Remember, guys, if you participate just one set, that's all you need to do, one set, and you are entered into the giveaway to potentially get an Ascended Nyx skin. So if you don't want to drop that $30, $35 you might have to get it otherwise, might as well join up in a set. You know, it's just 10 minutes maybe, and you can get yourself a nice skin. So go ahead and join on in if you haven't already. But yeah, it looks like we might be getting into another match here, potentially. Spaceatronics has joined up. What I'd like to see is Spaceatronics versus Conan or Sly. That's what I want to see right now. And I think those are the three that are tied for first place, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that's actually what we are going to be seeing. Yeah, is the Spaceatronics versus Sly. Yep, here we go. So we got two Blasters players once again going up against each other. Spaceatronics still on that Ascended Nyx, and we've got Sly who is on that Lilith slash Reno.
What are
That's a little
you?
wrong
What are
here.
your expectations in regards to this current like match? I feel like Spacetronics definitely like showed off a lot of gameplay with those blasters, but Sly is nobody to mess around with blasters either. Like he was definitely feeling himself on the last few games that we saw him play, switching around every single blaster character and just showing off his skills. So we might see some cool stuff from Spacetronics, but I feel like he's gonna have a hard time to get past Sly and get a win.
I mean, Sly has been on the blasters since they were the worst weapon in the game. So, I mean, he's just, once again, tried and true blasters main right here. So when someone is willing to stick to a weapon, even when they are that bad, you know they're going to absolutely cook on that weapon once they finally get a chance to shine. And right now, that is that time. And Sly, right now, proving it so, able to nicely space his opponent out in the air and get these nice extensions, try to go for a third in air there to get some more damage. But still, look at that. The deficit is already growing quite a bit in Sly's favor. I say that, but actually, no. It's Spaceatronics who's able to get himself a D-Light on the side air multiple times to build up some more damage. And now we got a risky offstage situation going on. Sly will have enough juice to get back. No, he will not. And he will be SDing basically off of that. That's too bad.
And Space locking in, even though he thought he was gonna get whooped on the chat of the stream, he's actually defending himself and fighting against Sly pretty nicely right now. I'm pretty surprised about just the way he was like going toe to toe on a blaster fight against Sly, and you know a little bit of an unfortunate play that from Sly that ended up taking his stock. Still, even though Space wasn't able to like confirm any significant damage on the second stock, I feel like Sly is definitely gonna have to play a lot more serious just to make sure that that scenario doesn't happen again. And now playing with the Orb, a very spacey weapon that it's definitely able to wake up a lot more than blasters. That might be the checkmark that he needs in order to win. Ooh, the dare.
Okay, then. Now, kind of dancing around looking for an opening of some sort. Both of them, of course, being on the blasters, so they've both got to stay pretty spaced from each other for it to be effective. Okay, now Sly able to get himself a D-Light into the recovery that is going to confirm the stock, and now things are swinging in the way of Sly. He's going to be opting for that orb, trying to get more spaced out combos against this Scythe now. Spaceatronics, we haven't seen too much of this Scythe, but it is a strong weapon, so I do believe he could get this, but still he is fighting from behind here, and he's struggled in the past. But yeah, he throws out that Scythe, because yeah, like I said, he's struggled trying to get those openings with the Scythe, not really sure what to do, but they're going over to the blasters now, looking for a cider to close things out, but Sly is keeping his distance, able to get a weapon throw into a side light, and yeah, that recovery just barely not able to take him out. But Spaceatronics being smart, you know, keep him off the weapon, starving, getting blasters primed up.
Honestly,
Ooh.
that's looking pretty rough for Spaceatronics right now. Still, he's able to confirm the D-Light's there and send this stock to an even position. Honestly, not as much damage that I thought was gonna be made against him right now. He still has a very good chance into putting this back on his side. And right now, with those strings that he's pulling up on the blasters, it might look tough, but it might happen.
Yeah, you know, I think Space is getting really good with these fadeaway side airs, you know, or these reverse side airs. I mean, really good job at just building up this damage, you know, and right now, although he is a bit on the edge right here, still able to space his opponent out nicely. That gravity cancel sidelight might have picked up, but not able to. Instead, the recovery is going to bail out Sly. Things are looking more and more dire for Spaceatronics, who gets side aired, but still holding on with that higher defensive Nyx. Still gets the little, oh, there it is. Yeah, that
the
N-Sig, a nice
N-Sig.
spike. And Sly is going to be going up, but still a lot closer than I think some of us might have imagined, myself included. So I'm interested to see if Spaceatronics might be able to pull things around in a game number 2.
Honestly, Space able to go not I don't know if toe to toe would be the best way to put it, but he definitely gave a very fair fight against Sly over here. And now, interesting switch from Spaceatronics. We're gonna be seeing Diana versus Reno, and in this case Lilith. I feel like this might be a change for the better, especially not only because like we already saw that Spaceatronics has blasters that can actually fight. I wouldn't say in equal terms, but on a pretty good level against Sly. But that bow and those signatures are definitely going to be something that Sly is going to have to keep an eye open, especially because we saw that Spaceatronics is very good at, throwing those hits that you don't see coming and then just hit you. If that is a NSIG and it lands, it might put Sly in a position where he doesn't want to be.
Yeah, honestly, I'm just a fan of this move because it's something other than that Nyx, and the reason why is because, as you saw from the damage numbers, Spaceatronics was basically entirely on the blasters, barely pulling out that scythe. It was only like 70 or so damage, and really, you're just gonna need both your weapons to do something good, but wow, look at that Sly, almost taking Spaceatronics into space with that orb. So very nicely done. It was not quite able to close out the stock, but still, a good amount of damage to start this game, only like 15 seconds or so in, and now he's over to the blasters, of course, being his comfort weapon. Let's see what he's going to do. Extend things off stage to a weapon throw. Not quite able to confirm anything, but still definitely has a lead. And he's going to disarm Spaceatronics right now. He's kind of a bit of a corner.
Yeah, honestly, Spaceatronics is not looking too well in regards to the blasters. He was struggling just to get some damage out whenever Sly was on the orb. We saw that stare, that beautiful stare that built up so much damage against him. And now that he's in a very negative situation with a less than one stock, I feel like he's definitely going to have to lock in and just watch out for his spacing and respect Sly a lot more if he wants to actually build up the damage in order to take out the stock. Either way, Sly right now is completely dominating him with the blasters, just overall outplaying him. And the
my
bait
goodness.
with the weapon does into the breakdance move, sending him out of the stage. It could have gone so wrong if that signature was to actually get out on time. But Sly putting himself in a beautiful position right now to take the lead and the win.
I think one big thing that's attributed to this entire lead right here, nice down air from space, but still, it's been that Sly, every single time that he goes to the ground or both of them are resetting onto the stage, it seems he's always got some sort of option that works. Whether it be the side light or the side air, maybe an in light to mix things up, he always has some sort of option to throw out, and it always catches space. They're always the perfect distance from each other, whether that be, space trying to keep him spell space, or Sly just being really good at spacing him out. I think it's a combination of both, but still, okay, now Sly is going to be on the receiving end of a nice classic combo from that Diana, and now actually kind of SDing there. I'm not really sure what happened, but yeah, just out of options, and now Space, he could feasibly do this if he gets another one of those reads with the bow. That could be a really easy NSIG off stage, and as you know, all it takes is like an orange or so when it comes to that NSIG, and it could be a KO, so he's got to be very, very careful, and Space kind of making it happen right now.
I feel like Space is also just not using as many as the opportunities that he has. Like Sly, I don't know if you noticed, but he keeps dodging in, and I feel like if Spaceatronics actually caught onto that fact and just went for an instinct every more often, he'd be building the damage that he needs in order to take the advantage that he's looking for right now. Oh, that dodge going through the blasters, very, very dangerous position for Spaceatronics, getting sent out by a Sarah on the orb. Oh, the side stick to reach the stage. It was kind of a risky play. It could have been punished, but it's enough for him to come back. And that gravity cancel daylight Sair confirms, giving Sly the win. But honestly, Spaceatronics gave it his all in this set right here.
Absolutely, yeah. Well done to him. Even on both those legends, as you can see, he used the bow quite a bit more than the blasters right there. So obviously, like before the Nyx, the scythe wasn't really working out, but they're able to get a nice thing going with the bow. And if you're picking Diana, of course, you've got to be using that NSIG. So I'm glad I was able to get at least one nice KO or an early KO from that, because otherwise it's like, what are you doing with Diana, right? I mean, that's what everyone loves with Diana, or hates if you're the one going against it. But if you're a Diana player, you love getting that, side light and then D-light read into the NSIG. It's very, very satisfying, and it only makes me slightly punch my monitor in, but that is
no. Diana NSIG is engraved into my brain. Like when I on my last days in this world, the last words that come out of my mouth are probably gonna be like, I despise NSIG Diana, because like, how many times have I lost tournament placements because of it? My biggest rival from my country, his name is Drago. He's a main Diana, and let me tell you, that's his entire game style. Like, props to you,
I know
Drago,
about him.
Yeah, no, you know about him. You know exactly who I'm talking about. Like, he can get nasty. He can get really nasty.
Yes, he can. That is, he is definitely a Diana main through and through. So if you catch him, with the name Drago, or sometimes he goes, it's just a period. If you see that, or someone in Stay Hydrated Gamers with that name, just know that you're about to be the recipient of many, many NSIGs, because
don't jump.
Don't jump. Yeah, right. Yeah, just don't jump. But I mean, sometimes you'll have a choice when you're hit by that D-light. It just makes you basically jump for you. So yeah, it's a problem, but. yeah, Space tried to make something similar happen, but just not able to. Not cheesy enough, I guess. Maybe a little bit too much self-respect. But still, at the end of the day, sometimes winning is worth more than self-respect, at least to some people. But anyways,
Man,
so
so speaking of self-respect, it's kind of crazy. Like, no, but I do agree. I do agree that for certain players, there are levels on how you take this game, and sometimes at the end of the night, we're all looking for the win. We have that famous phrase of "we take those." When somebody is these, or when you have to abuse the specifics of a character or of a game style in order to win, depending on the situation. We take those. And
Yep.
speaking of taking the games, we are having Sly, one of the current biggest players in this leaderboard event. That's what I'm gonna call it, against Applebee's from the clan Brawl,
Applebee's.
making its second appearance tonight, just like Brawl Familia.
Interesting. Applebee's. I gotta say, it's been quite a few years since I've gone to an Applebee's, but last time I went, they were like probably mid, like C tier. You know what I
wanna
mean?
know
In
something
the grand
crazy?
scheme of things. What?
10 years in the US, I've never gone to an Applebee's.
Huh. I don't think you're missing out on much. Yeah, thank you, Slow, for confirming that for us. Yes, like I said, it's been a couple years myself, but yeah, not really anything great.
I've never been to either Applebee's or Olive Garden. Like, I've told that I should try it, but like never before.
Yeah. But anyways, regardless of where you've been in the past few years as far as fast food goes, we got a bit of a reset going on. It happens sometimes. I think it might have been the map, I guess, or maybe lag. I don't know. I think they would have
or
restarted
maybe
the
do something
game.
about the stats.
Yeah, I mean, I think they would have relogged if it had been lag or something. So yeah, maybe the stats or the map. I'm not sure. But either way, getting over onto something different here. We got, like I said, the Kaya. I mean, now we have Taros. Now, Taros has been on quite the bender recently as far as representation goes. Taros has always been a character that's either like no one uses or everyone uses. The problem is that it's way more often that everyone's using him than no one's using him. So, and I mean at a top level, of course, when it comes to like golds, Taros will always reign supreme. But yeah, at a actual like competitive level, Taros right now seeing a lot of resurgence, especially on the hammer. I remember back when it was the axe that everyone was going to Taros for, but now it seems that it's the both weapons, but most of the hammer. But right there is
the
actually
hammer.
the axe being the shine of the show, or the start of the show rather.
The hammer is definitely one of the most lookout weapons right now. I feel like Kaina is it's very much one of the culprits of the fact that hammer has become such a played weapon. But also Terra's
Flower.
overall is probably Flower too here in NA. I definitely agree with that one. Ooh, that beautiful bridge right there, or should I say stair, and that silent nair from the axe, building up more damage against Applebee's. And Terra's also, overall, now that Chakrams is gone, is pretty much like the best character pound
absolutely.
to pound. Like, we got the best damage, you got
Oh,
incredible stats, we got those signatures just like that insig that it was used right there to end the stock, and then the weapons, which are the two highest raid damage weapons that we got in the game right now. It's just absolutely the character to pick if you want to get high elo in this season.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really is crazy how much you could see Taros. I remember I saw a screenshot of like the leaderboards on some region. I forget what it was, but it was literally like 8 Taroses in a row.
That was probably
like,
SA.
It probably was. Yeah, I think it was actually. And I was just like, you know what? There were times where I might have questioned this or been like, oh, come on, guys. But now it's just, yeah. And wow, nice Russian Mafia from Sly right there. Able to close things out with a 3-stock. And yeah, I don't see things going any other way for this second game right here. I think this is, once again, going to be a really quick closeout. Applebee's, I appreciate the effort, but, just like your restaurant counterpart, you're kind of mid. Sorry. But, okay, we got something a little bit different here, though. We're actually seeing Applebee's on the Yumiko. Like to see that presentation. And then on the other hand, we have Sly on Jaehyun.
Very interesting drip, by the way, I will say, from each
certainly
player.
Yeah, both of them. This is quite unique, I gotta say. I don't see either of these skins too often, but I can't say I mind it.
I usually like to see like more unique skins. I feel like everybody goes for the same skins on tournaments, stuff like that. Whenever you're on stream, you want to show off your own creativity, And some people have taste, some other not so much. But right now, you can never go wrong with those black colors, especially when you pair them up with good skins. I do wonder what we're gonna see from Sly. We definitely noticed we had a really good sword whenever he played that Darth Vader, but the great sword, it's definitely gonna be an interesting pick for him. And Applebee's with the Yumiko. You mentioned Flower earlier. We're definitely going to be looking at possibly a little bit more of a signature use from him right now, just to even out the stocks whenever he needs to.
Yeah, when you're playing Yumiko, you've got to use these trap signatures. It's kind of like with Arcadia, that's kind of the whole gimmick with the kit, is you got to use those trap signatures to try and get some good setups. And that's obviously what Applebee's is trying to go for at the moment. Right now, Sly able to box things out, but actually, the GC side sig, which is very commonly used, but I guess Sly just wasn't looking for it because he forgot maybe he's not playing against the higher level people, who aren't exactly willing to go for that too much. But no, Applebee's now getting dunked by the down air. Although Greatsword was nerfed pretty recently, the aerials weren't nerfed. I'm not sure if it was at all or like not very much at all. It was mostly the ground attacks for the Greatsword that got nerfed. So those downers and stuff like that can still be pretty oppressive to deal against. But Applebee's able to get a nice cider. That should have closed things out, but that ground pound just to confirm. And I think this is the closest things have been so far for Applebee's. So I think if he's going to take a stand, now is going to be the time.
Yeah, honestly, I completely agree with the fact that it's definitely a turnaround from what we saw last game. Last game was, without making fun of Applebee's, it was a wash, but I was also terror, so I can completely understand. Those Sly popping off with that Grazer, hitting that classic D-Light Nair, and then a full bridge to confirm the stock. Honestly, Grazer recently is not in the best state ever. They definitely took away some of their utility when it comes down to VS, but still a pretty strong weapon overall. And if it catches you without a dodge, it's definitely going to build up a lot of damage against you. And Applebee's doesn't seem to be in the position to actually like take a lot of punishing game from Sly. He's not mixing overall his options too well, and that's definitely showing in regards to just how much damage Sly is being able to completely overtake on him right now. I don't know why I'm using words that don't match up together, but at this point,
it's understandable. No, but I think, oh geez, there it is. Yep, Sly's gonna take things, but I think really the biggest problem there was that Applebee's couldn't really find a D-Light. Hammer, a lot of the times that's what it comes down to, is getting those D-Lights in order to maintain a large damage lead. And yeah, Applebee's just not really able to find any of those D-Lights on Hammer, and Sly was able to take full advantage and able to get a pretty clean 2-stock right there. Not as big of a wipeout as that first one, but still very convincing on Sly's part, as it has been for the majority of this leaderboard bracket, Q, tournaments, stream, just all the adjectives.
I would say just
throwing them all at the wall. Just, yeah, at some point, something's going to stick.
Bearded skirmish, or I don't know, like
skirmish?
Another one that I saw earlier was, where is it? Bearded Bottles, the Battle of the Beards.
Battle of the Beard. I like the Battle of the Beards personally. It's on theme. Slow. If you're listening, I'm sure you're listening. Take that into consideration. Battle of the Beards. Let's see it. Where's the Battle of the Beards? Catches, you have to have a beard if you play. So unfortunately, I will not be able to participate. But if we could see you as the best beard in all of Brawlhalla, now that right there, that'd be something else.
If that's the case, I'm out as well, because I got the worst beard in the planet. Like, that thing grows on patches almost.
Yeah.
I actually last CEO I traveled and I forgot to bring like a razor or something like that, and it was terrible. Every time I saw the photos that were taken as CEO and I made an appearance, like my face was just, it looked like I hadn't mown the lawn or something.
Yeah, no, you gotta take care of it, because if you can't pull it off, you can't. Me too. I look like I'm homeless. Like, I get these like stragglers, like these 2 foot long.
We be looking like Tatch.
That's what I'm saying.
we be looking like Tatch whenever that happens. It happens to the best of us, though.
No, I mean, I wish I could have a gnarly beard like Thatch, but no, it's more like that. It's what skin am I thinking?
Wait,
I'm thinking of a.
Am I confused? Wait, hold up. Oh, incredible! Accidentally exited the room. Give me a second.
Yeah. Now actually, we gotta answer the question: who has the greatest beard in the Brawlhalla roster? In my opinion, it's gonna be Wu Shang. There's some good arguments out there, but Wu Shang has got the most based beard. You know what I mean? It's got good symmetry, right? It's got the little 2 Katars almost jagging out of it. That's a really weird way of describing it, but it's like it's flourishing. It goes well with his cut. It's a fresh cut.
Hear me out. Soul definitely
Okay.
has a good beard.
Okay, you know, I could see that.
And also, we can't forget the god of beards himself.
Oh, that's a good point. You know, but I think when it comes down to just like aura, you know what I mean? Because Thor, like, I feel like all of Thor's aura comes from that hammer and like wielding Mjolnir. You know what I mean? He's got a good beard, but that's not where his aura comes from. And Zol, his aura comes from his overwhelming 10 strength, if you choose to put that stance on. But Wushang, he gets it strictly from that beard. You know, anytime I see Wushang, I totally don't think about the fact that he's crazy at 2v2s or has just been an overwhelming meta threat in that entire game mode.
Question.
No, instead I'm thinking the beard.
Does this count as a beard? Like technically, because you know, like he's covered in fur, but would that make that Terrace have a beard?
And you know, I don't think that really counts as a beard, because like like a lion has a mane. Like you don't call that a beard. You know what I mean? That's just what it has. So
True.
Yeah.
What has what this stream become into? Like,
I don't know. Oh, well, you know. We haven't talked about Zuva's beard. You know what I mean? It's a respectable one.
Well,
I definitely wouldn't put it up there, but I would say it's respectable.
Zuva and Isaiah, they're both even. Like they got that nice cut. You know, they probably go to the same barber. No, honestly,
yeah, like the protractor is pulled out whenever they get the beard, because look at the symmetry. It's just respectable.
They have the finest blade in Atlanta whenever they get their beards shaved up. And now, speaking of beards, a character that probably has one but gets it all shaved all the time is Cross.
Oh yeah, you're right. Doesn't he have that one skin where he's got like the stash? It's like the
he has this
mafia
one.
boss. Like, okay, yeah, that's true. He does have that one. I'm thinking the one that he looks kind of like a 1920s mobster.
That's one of his best skins for sure.
Yeah. And Space. Oh, is Space playing?
We might have.
Okay.
We might have a match.
No, he left. Dang. Space, just crushing our hopes and dreams. Okay, we see how it is. Is there any other beard that we've refused to talk about yet?
I just wanted to show a skin with a beard. All right, Space.
There's Isaiah. There's Isaiah's beard. Well, I think it's a pretty similar situation. Although I gotta say, I do like the little chisel on the edges. Like you kind of see how it's like on the corner of Isaiah's like beard. It's like it's very. I don't know, like I said, chiseled. You know what I mean? It just has a nice like point. It comes.
Yeah, he's got that fade on. Like Isaiah got the fade for sure.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about. Well, that's a different skin. I was talking about his main skin, but I don't want to undo my drip. But everyone knows what I'm talking about, surely. This is great. You know, we're two people with no beard critiquing beards. You know, this is the pinnacle right here of content.
I was gonna mention Raymond on his Budbear skin, but at the same time, he doesn't have a chin. So I don't know. I don't know how they work. Budbear though.
Oh wait.
Budbear does have a good beard. Like he especially like in this skin or the anniversary skin.
But we haven't talked about Nash though. What about Nash?
Nash is in our game.
Nash probably has the worst. Probably has the worst beard. I would say Nash is the worst because as you can see, it's got like the patches. You know what I mean? It's very overgrown. It looks like Mr. Incredible from like The Incredibles 2 when he went through that arc where he was like teaching Dash how to do math and he looked like absolutely out of it. That's what this beard reminds me of. Very strange call out there, but that's just the only thing I could possibly use to describe it. Because as you can see, it's got the little flex. You know what? Are those fleas? Yo, Nash, are those fleas in your beard, bro? You gotta get that checked out.
They look like
go to the
it.
groomers
They look
or something,
like it.
Bro.
One of the most underrated, like little shaved beards that I've seen is probably like this bulk of skin. Like he's definitely stylish with it.
Okay.
It's more like a what's it called? It's more like a goatee with a little mustache, you know. And then we can't forget about the Thatch that actually looks nice.
Oh yes, right there you go. Classy Thatch.
Chad, someone cute, please. We are running out of beards to talk
about. That might all be all the beards.
Yeah, I mean, we got Alucard. No, not Alucard. Freaking this guy. Ezio.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Ezio. Yeah. You know, do you think Barraza would have facial hair underneath the mask?
That's what I was thinking myself, because there's a few skins where there are actually no skins where he doesn't have the face mask. But you could assume that he does have like something, because he's a very hairy guy except for his head, where he has nothing.
Right.
I'm
I saw
running
it
out
before.
of.
Well, before the chat got spammed with Slow's messages, I saw a space said something. What was it? New discussion: which Brawlhalla player has the best beard besides slow motion and left stick down? Yes, you're right, because those are pretty much objectively the best beards. So I guess who would have the best beard other
I'm
than
thinking.
that? You know, uh, there aren't. The thing is, there's not too many people with beards because like that would require you to be Unk status, and there's just not too many
I
of
mean,
us
I think
out there.
Atrophius had one at some point, but I'm not completely sure.
Hmm.
I think he had like a little thing, but I don't think it was anything crazy. And who else? I know Bedhead Ninja has like a pretty nice beard as well.
I'm thinking of a player. I'm forgetting his entire, but it was like he went by Captain, and I know he played or had like at lands he would have was it
Captain Lowell?
Zach. Oh, I think that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, because he wore the captain
Exile,
hat.
yeah, I guess Exile.
Yeah.
Captain Legend,
Yeah,
yes, Captain Legend.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while. But that's because I used to see him a lot on like Twitter and whatnot. But I don't know what happened to him. But yeah, he had a really good beard. I remember that he definitely had quite a luscious beard. So that'd be one of my votes right
Anybody
there.
that joins
but...
the stream and is like, why are they discussing about beards right now?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's like joining for. Well, to be fair, everyone knows that slow motion is tied with his beard. So if you come on here and slow motion stream and they're talking about beards, that's probably the one place you'd be like, okay, that's understandable at
Like
least.
the only way for slow motion to actually shave that beard is for like a monumental event. Like if anybody did something crazy, like let's say I win the VCX and I'm like, all right, now you gotta shave it. Type
Do
thing.
you think he would shave his beard for that? Slow,
Nah,
would you shave your
depends.
beard if Althazar won BCX? I need to hear this. 10 bans. Oh wow. Okay. Okay. Well, that's fair. That's fair. Although this is assuming that he has a chance at winning BCX. No shade. No shade. But
okay,
like, let's just be
the
realistic.
low hit
Hey,
from the Rust player. I
listen,
see.
The same thing goes for me. All right. I bet Slow could put shaving his beard on the line, and I'm definitely not winning BCX. I think that's a pretty good bet to say to hedge on right there. But yeah, I wouldn't want to.
Based on just the average age of the player that wins BCX, I'm already out of the league. Like most of the BCX champions are like between the 16 and 18 age. I'm already 23. I'm reaching the young status. Like I'm nearing that.
I think we already are. I mean, I'm 20 myself, so we're getting there.
I think
we're aging.
I think I'm just gonna hop in the queue myself, cast and play at the same time or something.
That would be insane. I guess I could solo cast.
Oh wait.
Get a live reaction. Wait, what?
Did we
have
get
one?
someone?
Yo.
Bro, I'm 28 and I
Getting
get
hyped.
called Unk. No, yeah. I understand you, MC Cos.
Well, to be fair, in the Brawlhalla like terminology, that is like definitely Unk. But I agree. They be calling us Unk too much. When I reached 20, I had so many people. I mean, I made a joke about it. I posted, like, on my birthday, I posted a thing that had, like, a back pain image along with me saying that I turned 20. And so many people were like, damn, Unk, like, when do you retire? And I'm like, guys, I can't even drink yet.
I can't even drink.
Not until I become a raging alcoholic.
That was the
will I
worst
be
part
able to
about
call
being
myself
20. It was like, you are old, but you're not old enough to enjoy it yet. It's like...
You can't enjoy being old yet. That's funny. Oh man.
You get away one more year just for the sake of it. But now finally, stopping about talking about beers and stuff, we got Conan, the man of the night, the one that has been showing off the most amount of skill against Terry, I suppose.
He's gonna
stay
back
hydrated,
it up,
commentators.
Put it
Thank
in
you,
reverse.
MC.
Put it in reverse, Tear. Shout out if you know what I'm talking about. Anyways,
Reverse
so
Tear.
Terry here, it was like a Vine back in the day. But anyways, so we got Terry here on that Mordex. He's gonna go up against Conan's Lucian, which has been tearing up this leaderboard so far. Terry getting a little bit testy off stage, and yeah, already proving why you probably shouldn't against these guitars. Conan's been really good off stage, able to snuff out a lot of people's recovery options and whatnot. And yeah, Terry finding himself on the receiving end of such a thing, and yeah, it's already looking like a pretty good wipe for Conan.
I do not approve of Terry playing for me. Somebody says in the chat. It seems, honestly, I don't even know what to say about this match, man. Like, you're looking at it, I'm looking at it. It's not looking all too positive for Terry over here. I mean, Conan is kind of just doing what he's doing best the entirety of the stream, which is, cook with those guitars, which is absolutely amazing to watch. But Terry is my man's struggling to produce O2 after breathing oxygen. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I guess I get what you mean right there.
respect the drip, I guess.
No, he's trying. Also, the drip, it's unique. I will say it's unique. And it's not like Conan is also very common either. You don't really see something like Starlight, I believe that is, right? Starlight being used with such a skin, and yeah, it's going to be
It does look good, though.
a very quick closeout. I think it's a good combination. But yeah, that's going to be Terry, unfortunately, losing out on that first game in just a minute and a half. And, I thought he rage quit, but no. Los Terrys. What a clan. Lost Terry. I'm sure that's going to be the next up clan. Watch out, Perseus. We got Los Terrys up in here. And now he's going to be opting over for the Giro. We'll see. Maybe that makes a little bit of a difference.
Maybe that sword
being, a bit easier of a weapon. Not as good as Gauntlets anymore, but it is easier. So who knows?
As long as he doesn't run the Giro with 2 defense, we might be seeing an offset right here. I feel like Conan is probably in big trouble now that Lord Terry decided to lock into his... never mind. I suppose we are moving on from the GOAT Terry. His power was so immense he had to leave early.
Yeah. He felt bad. He was like, I'm not going to take this from you, to make a 2-1, especially when he's been dominating the whole time. So instead of taking the honorable way out, it's okay. We understand. But anyway, so now we're going to be having the matchup of Conan and Sly. Now these two have been at the top for basically this entire time. So
yeah, we got the rematch of the
Clash
night.
of Titans. Clash of Titans right here.
If I'm not wrong, this was the first match of the night. It might be the last match of the night as well. We got the 2 players that have been winning the most amount of games. Both have had a lot of time just to warm up and also get comfy with their weapons. And Sly, last time he played against Conan, he definitely had a really hard time just to move on with his blasters and show off his skill. He's definitely been able to warm up those. And then Conan, overall, I'm surprised he's not pulling out the guitars for this. He's deciding to stick with the Knicks, but then again, we definitely saw that Conan has good knowledge on the blasters and can definitely go toe-to-toe against Sly. So I'm pretty excited to see what we're about to witness over here.
That's fair. I'm seeing right now in chat, Sly said Terry was never supposed to play. Let's put some respect on Terry, man, all right? He was trying. Just because he got wiped does not mean he wasn't supposed to play. I have no clue what happened. But anyways, we're apparently getting into the proper match. Which, to be fair, it's going to be a lot closer than that match versus Terry. No disrespect, but this is definitely a lot closer in skill level here. So let's see what Sly can do to maybe take down Conan. Because honestly, I'd be hedging my bets on him. So far, I'd say he's been the better player of the two, even though they're both at the top. As far as the first and second place goes, Conan's been really hard to deal with. A lot of players have been struggling, and even though he's not on that Lucian, which put him up here in the first place, I'd say he's even got a lot of knowledge on this scythe. Look at that right now. Sly struggling so far against this scythe.
Yeah, honestly, like, his side is amazing. He's really good at just keeping the spacing against his opponent. That side's sending Sly out, and honestly, with pretty much no damage done to his stock, he's got a pretty clean third stock to just build up damage and get all the advantage that he wants to right now. Sly trying to lock in with the Orb, but just like I said, the way that he's reading those dodges and also just keeping the spacing around, making sure he got the control of the stage is incredible from Conan right now. And I'm just curious to see what could happen if Sly is able to push him into switching to that Lucian and see those guitars against him against himself.
I don't know if I see that happening. I mean, Conan, as you can see, is completely sticking to that scythe instead of the blasters. And yeah, right there, able to get a nice extension, weapon throw to extend it even further. Sly has just no answer right now and tries to get a nice D-light into the side air. But either way, look at Conan just mixing things up, getting these reverse, or nairs rather, been really good to just pack on this damage. Sly trying to fight his way back up. He's really getting down to the KO percentage on this last stock, and he hasn't even put a single one over on Conan, so he's really got to put things out now if he wants a chance at even winning this. But yeah, Conan getting that D-light of the recovery, and that is a 3 stock.
Three stock from Conan, starting off the set pretty hard. Honestly, like I feel like Sly maybe not as comfortable as he was in other matches, and Conan just completely once again demonstrating his skill with different weapons, and also just as I said before, the fact that he's able not only to adapt to his opponent but also read their dodges and their and measure the space that he needs between them so well. It's something that is so satisfying to watch a good player use against each other.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I understand that. And we're gonna see Sly going over to actually some Lucian himself. He's been playing some Nina Williams. So this will be interesting. You know, obviously Conan, who was on the Lucian prior, you know, he's been going against a Lucian himself, and he's on those, or sorry, on Nyx now. Now, I don't know if this is good matchup-wise. I've always felt as though Scythe has been pretty good at countering the Katars because they have similar speed, but, you know, obviously larger hitboxes on the Scythe's part. So it can be hard, but at the same time, you know, something different might be exactly what Sly needs, because obviously he's been mostly on that Reno, and when it's not working out, you know, something new might be able to help. And he's still going to have those blasters, which he's obviously very good at. And then you can see level 55 on the Nina Williams, so he's definitely has some experience with these Katars.
I see a little bit of a wholesome interaction in the chat while Sly asking Conan how did he get so good, and just having a little chit chat between each other about catching up to each other and getting better. It's definitely good to see that these sort of events, you know, bring out the best out of our players and also just get them to, you know, engage in a more competitive manner. Now going into game number
Core
2.
thumbs up. Give him a core thumbs up. That's all I gotta say
core
about
thumbs up, exactly.
Oh,
the
man.
best emote in the game right now for sure.
Oh yeah, we used to dream of these days where we could give people core thumbs ups, but it was always core thumbs down. But yeah, dreams aside, now we're going to be having once again Sly versus Conan here, and so far already things going a little bit better for Sly over on these Katars, able to get in a little bit more onto Conan. Conan himself able to hit 3 neutral lights on that Scythe, but not able to extend it any farther than that, which really, you're obviously looking for more than just these straight hits on Scythe. Scythe not being really the most damaging weapon, and obviously very hard to KO with, so he's going to need bigger strings if he wants a chance at defeating Sly here, because otherwise, it seems like so far, Sly's got the upper hand.
Yep, just like you were saying, Sly is definitely putting up the game against Conan right now with those Katars, which is a little bit of a switch up considering that we've seen Conan be the one on the side of the Katars completely dominating his opponents. Still, I don't think it's going to be enough to completely set Conan out of his comfort zone. He's got the blaster still, and he's got plenty of match left in order to bring this one back and also just change the tides. That D-Light Stare sending him Sly out of the stage, definitely putting him in a troubleful situation. But Sly, also a very good player with blasters. He might be able to confirm with that dare right there on the edge of the stage, putting himself for the first time on the set on the advantage. Will this be the game that you know Sly is able to push Conan into going for that Lucian, or will Conan be able to turn it around? That ground pound to even off the stocks might be the answer to my question.
Yeah, you know, Scythe ground pounds, I used to compare it to a pencil, but I realized that, of course, if you were to let go of it, it does a much larger hitbox. And that's what a lot of Scythe players abuse, is that little extra hitbox that's gained when you let go of that ground pound. Because it's obviously a ground pound that requires no commitment, sorry, compared to all other ground pounds where, like, you do a ground pound and you go down a certain distance. With Scythe, you can basically let go straight away and get an attack out of it. So that right there, you know, going in the favor of Conan with that attack, so good, well done from him. And now he's starting to get a bit more of an extension on this Scythe. Like I said, that's what he's going to need if he wants to take it over Sly right now, and he's getting these 2 pieces, 3 pieces. That's going to add up over time. Sly answers back with a sidelight side air, gets another one just to push him off stage some more. A nice D-Sig, a good mix-up, yep. And now he's got Conan in a bad spot. Okay, but he's able to throw that weapon down, keep himself up. Well, once again, another weapon throw is going to keep Sly off him from now, but there it is, the D-Light into recovery, sends Sly into a bit of a lead.
Yeah, it's like able to actually take the stock before Conan, but we could see how Conan was this close to not only putting the game in his advantage, but also he was able to even it out pretty quickly. I feel like Sly doesn't have any time to rest or like get comfy against Conan. Conan is going full against him. He definitely doesn't want this to turn into a game number 3, though it'd be the first one of the night if it were to happen. Now that string with the side, the classic one, once you get your opponent without a dodge. this might be the situation that Conan needs to build up the damage that he needs to get a confirm on the last stock right now. Beautiful read on the Nair, sending him off the stage again and getting the control of the stage. Once again, Sly trying his best to come back into the stage, perhaps trying to get those Katars and just get a bit of a bigger benefit out of them.
Okay, able to get a read there. No dodge coming up from Conan, so he's able to get uninterrupted damage, and there it is. That delay into the recovery going to not miss. He got a lot of practice on that combo, and there you go. That's going to be a 2-0 in the favor of Conan, who is definitely 100% your leader in this leaderboard now. He is the #1 spot for sure. Sly putting up a good fight, but ultimately we're seeing a pretty big distinction here in skill level, at least as far as tonight goes. So
I will say though,
Conan,
compared to the first set, Conan was definitely up there, just giving his all, fighting against Sly fighting against Conan. Like he cooked up. I definitely like to see his Katars going toe to toe against the site and actually putting Conan into a situation where he had to switch and reconsider his options. I feel very hopeful based on what I saw in the chat that eventually, with everybody just coming back and practicing the game even more, that we're gonna see another rematch from Conan and Sly maybe in the future where things are much more even. And that excites me, honestly, because this is the kind of stuff that this sort of event brings up to the table. These 1v1 matches that usually you would only see if you're spectating your friends and such, actually put on the spotlight.
Yeah, like I said, most of the matches that you see is going to be like those tournament sets. Sometimes you see money matches, but, just seeing a more casual side of things when there's still something to fight for, obviously, so people aren't throwing exactly, but at the same time, a lot less lower stakes, get some good practice in there, maybe with an off pick or something like that, which we did see from some people choosing their off characters, and it was good fun. But it appears we are going to be ending things off now. It was a good 2-hour, leaderboard queue session. Like I said, we still haven't figured out what's going to stick for this name. Battle of the Beards. I like that one.
Battle of the Beards was probably the most catchy one. Like, I liked it a lot.
No, definitely. So yeah. Now I'm not sure. Are we
or a skirmish of the Beards?
The winner of the giveaway, or is that later?
I believe the winner is going to be the #1 on the leaderboard, which was Conan. Got it. All right. Based on what Slow Motion just told us, anybody that was participating tonight, you guys just wait. Slow will be adding all of the names into the pool so he can actually do the giveaway, and then whoever wins will be sent out through Challenger mode or Discord. We'll see however it happens. But overall, it was a pretty fun stream. We definitely saw some interesting matches, some MVP players as well, and I feel like I had a lot of fun. I can't wait for EU next week, see what they have cooking in regards to just the overall bracket. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Okay, I'm back.
Sent to the Shadow Realm.
Sent to the Shadow Realm for a second. All right, fellas, you can see that they are cutting the light off the stream. So this was Nomad, aka Eltasar. Follow my Twitter, Nomad Seco, if you want to see my unhinged opinions and if you want to see my streams. And I was here with my good friend Tripped Up. Anything you want to say?
I just hit my microphone. Sorry, guys. Yes, go subscribe to me on YouTube. And that's about it. Yeah, it was an honor casting for you all. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll see you all next time.
Yep. Have a good one.